last we will have revenge. The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Now you will experience the full power of the dark side.
Welcome, followers of the Dark Side of Light. I'm your host, John, the real JP3, and I'm joined as always by my good friend and fellow co-host, who is a master of the dark side, expert on the occult, and obtainer of rare antiquities and long hair. Please welcome Dark Lord of the Sith, David.
Welcome, Gris, Chiss, and Rhodians. John, I've got one question for you. What has happened this weekend? What is going on? What is changing? Not in the world of Star Wars, but in our podcast world.
Dave had me slaving away all weekend. That's what changed.
You know, it's time to put in some legwork, my man. Can't just be sitting pretty in a different city. Oh, man, that was badass rhyme right there, man. No?
Yeah, we're taking. Anyway, so as many of you probably have already noticed, we changed our name.
We changed our name.
We are no longer the Rule of Two, a Star Wars podcast. We are now Balance of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. It's something Dave and I have been talking about offline for a while. There was another podcast that has the same name or similar name to us that people kept confusing us with. We said, you know what? We got to get out. We got to do our own thing and change the name because we didn't think they would. So we changed our name, and we're hoping you guys like the new designs, the new pictures, the new artwork. Everything transitioned to the best of our knowledge. It would have been nice if it was like immediate, but we had to do things in sections. But oh well, overall it worked. But I'm excited because if you guys haven't seen all the artwork, you guys are gonna love it. It's gonna be up on TeePublic as well.
So we changed names. We've been at this podcast game for almost a year and a half, 2 years. We took a little bit of a hiatus in between, kind of had to get some things going and sorted. But then we kicked back up, and we were the Rule of Two. It's a little sad. Not gonna say, hey, I've got a Star Wars podcast, and it's called the Rule of Two. We came up with that, two of us, very very Sith oriented. But as time grew on, not only did we have the shadow of that other podcast that we couldn't outrun. We couldn't get past that shadow. But the more and more I thought about it, I was like, John, you're not quite Sith. You're not quite Sith. So with us transitioning, I think the new name, Balance of the Force, is absolutely perfect. I'll let you guys decide who's the light and who's the dark. Or you know what, John, you want to get into that?
No, we'll let them decide. If you can't figure out who the light and dark side is, then I don't know what to tell you guys. We had somebody comment that on when you made the transition. They're like, but who's the light and who's the dark? And I said, if you don't know that, I don't know what to tell you. They're like, well, maybe I'll switch. I said, yeah, I doubt it. So excited. A lot of cool things coming. We relaunched. We're relaunching our Patreon. We're relaunching our TeePublic site, but we also have some of our the Rule of Two designs on our TeePublic that you can still capture, but you also have our new designs that are up.
So speaking of the design, our old design was the original Sith symbol with a Sith holocron in the center of it. John, what's our new symbol? What's our new logo?
So the new logo is basically just it's balance of the Force between the light and the dark side. And this symbol actually, or the idea, I think, if I remember correctly from David when we talked about it, was kind of derived off of my tattoo that Dave also created for me. And I got it, it's been like 2 or 3 years now. But it's essentially the Sith symbol, and inside of it is the Jedi symbol. And because I was like, well, I'm not really dark side, I'm more light, but I kind of, and so he was like, look, I can do this. And he created this symbol. And so that's what kind of created and kind of gave the vision to what we wanted to do with a balance of the force. And so if you look at our new symbol, it's really the Jedi on one side. And this is the
represented in blue, obviously.
Represented in blue. And this is the new Sith symbol, is that correct?
It is. You know, we don't know a lot about it. We just know this is the new Sith symbol, and how we got this knowledge was based off of the new Sith troopers that are going to be in Rise of Skywalker. So they have reinvented and made this canon, the Sith symbol, which everyone's kind of thinking it's got some ties back to the Mortis saga, the trilogy. You know, the father, the son, and the brother, or the son and the brother. It's the same thing. The daughter and the brother. But as of right now, this is what we have for Sith logo. So it is a hybrid. The red side is the Sith logo, and the blue side is the representation of the Jedi.
An interesting fact, if you guys didn't know this, my favorite color is blue. Dave's favorite color is red and black. So it kind of works out that it is really
it's the yin and yang, you know what I mean?
It's the yin and yang. It's who we are. It's how we live in the Star Wars universe. And you guys, I'm sure, have heard that. Like, there's a lot of times that Dave agrees with some things the Jedi did. I agree with some things the Sith did, and we go back and forth. But in reality, it is the yin and yang. And it was so when he was like, "You have a picture of your tattoo," and he found one because, like I said, he was the one that created it. He didn't put it on my arm. A little scary.
Yeah, I
David
could do
tattoo.
it. I could do it, man. I could do it.
So anyway,
embrace the pain.
Anyway, that's kind of why we made the transition, and that's what it kind of derived from. So pretty excited about this. I think mostly everything has transitioned over. YouTube we had to create a new account on YouTube. So we asked that you guys go and subscribe to that new account. It's Balance of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. We will load all of our previous YouTube videos from the previous podcast on the new one, and then you'll see the transition go from there. Obviously, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter has all been uploaded, and you can find us. Our at is at SWPodBalance is our at symbol for all the social media accounts. And then we'll be on TeePublic. We still have our Amazon associates where you guys can go and get 2 free audiobooks and 30-day free trial by signing up with our link. So with all that being said, guys, more to come. Exciting time. We are excited. We're going to keep some of this stuff. We may transition out our banners. Dave's wearing the shirt today. You may see us still wear some of that stuff. It's the podcast we first started.
You know, it's who we are, but also in the sense of our good friend Adam Driver, Kylo Ren. Let the past die. Kill it. You know, we got to move forward. I'm jazzed about the new digs, the new direction, the lack of shadow of anyone else over us. We just gotta do our thing and talk Star Wars, carve out our own little niche, and go from there. But you know, we've got a lot of things coming. We got a lot of great Star Wars content coming. You know, you got Disney Plus, you got Mandalorian coming in a few days, Jedi Fallen Order. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. If you already watch and listen to the show and you dig us, do me a favor. Consider jumping on our Patreon bandwagon. And when I say that, it's I've compared a lot of Patreons. I've looked at a lot of them. I've said, hey, you know what? Do I want to join? Because I listen to other Star Wars podcasts. John, I think he does the same. Check us out, Balance of the Force on Patreon. We got a bunch of different levels. And to continue with that yin and yang theme, our first entry level is going to be $2. $2. You can't even get a freaking Starbucks cup of coffee for $2. It's going to be called the Force Sensitive level. Okay, so you're teaming, you got a little Force action going on, you got a little tingle. You got no direction, though. You're the baby entry, okay? So right there, that's going to give you access to the podcast a little bit early. It's going to give you access to polls, discussion on our Patreon page. That's going to be your first steps into a larger world, if you will. Your next category, it's going to be the youngling for the light side and the acolyte for the dark. That's going to be $5 buckaroos. So that's probably what you're paying for a Starbucks coffee. Without the cream, sugar, and all that other diabetes on top.
It's basic.
Yep. Hey, You got to do it though. So that right there, that's going to give you access to obviously the previous content. It's going to give you instant reaction videos to breaking news, things that go down. John and I are going to jump on our phones, do whatever's going down, record it, throw it up there, talk about it. You're also going to get a shout out on our YouTube credits. Pretty cool. So you can say, hey, you're a part of the show. And then you will also get a chance to throw questions our way. We say your name on the podcast, your handle, whatever it is, and we answer your questions. Kind of give you some one-on-one rule of two conversation back and forth. The next one, guys, it's the Padawan Apprentice tier. It's gonna be 10 buckaroos. Not too bad. That one, again, all the previous content. You're also gonna go ahead and get a force or balance of the force sticker. And every time we come up with a new design, new sticker, whatever, you're gonna get it. So we got to get your mailing address, all that good stuff, and we're hitting you up with a sticker. You're also gonna get in-depth commentary on The Mandalorian. We're gonna backtrack. We're gonna go back, and we're gonna do the same thing for the Resistance show, the animated show, and Clone Wars. And the fun thing about this is, John, I know you've been wanting to go back and watch Clone Wars. I've been wanting to go back and watch Clone Wars. So we can go back, watch the episode, have a little brief conversation of what those episodes really entail, what they impact, and go from there. As well as you're going to be having a hand in deciding what our future content's going to be. So we're going to have 3-4 little topics up there, and you, our patrons, from the $10 mark, are going to be able to help to decide, hey, you know what? We don't want you guys to talk about this week. We want you to talk about this. So I think that's pretty cool. One thing that's not on here, and I think we got to include in this $10 level, is discussion of Jedi Fallen Order. And this just kind of came to me this morning. I'm thinking, John, and you don't play the game. You're not going to play. You're not going to be here in town, after all, to provide the snacks and watch the glorious journey of me being Cal Kestis and fighting the Empire. But I'm thinking what would be cool is if we have a little 20, 30-minute episode about each planet that is in the game. So we can talk about it just freely. You know, it'll be a little spoilerish, but again, if you're listening to that episode, it's by choice. And that'll be exclusive to patrons. I'm not going to bore you guys with the rest of the tiers. Check them out on our Patreon page, Balance of the Force. Check it out. Hopefully you guys dig it. You stick with us, and we continue this yin and yang pair of light side and dark. Johnny, you got anything?
2.
Yep, I figured you would go 2. I figured. But
So,
again, guys, anything that you contribute to our Patreon page, it's going right back into the show to help engineer a better show, get us better gear, better content, and yeah, essentially it's just a circle of Star Wars trust.
I thought you were going to go with Circle of Life, but
No,
okay.
circle of Star Wars trust. All right, what do you got, John? What do you think?
All right. I think that's great. Patreon. There's so many different ways that you guys can get in touch with us, and also kind of support us through Patreon, through your Audible trials, and also TeePublic with the new designs and everything else we got going on. We love to hear from you guys. We do this because we're fans, and we love to talk to the fans and give them information that in a fun, exciting way through our yin and yang conversations, as we say. Dave got a pretty good compliment the other day from somebody who has not listened to the podcast for the first time, and said it sounds like 2 guys that are just sitting at a location having adult beverages, and they're just talking back and forth.
Yep.
And so we've always kind of that's kind of been our thing is, hey, it's just like a conversation that we would have with each other. We just got mics in front of us. It's a little bit more scheduled. We have to schedule when we shoot, and there's a schedule of when things go up. So it's a little bit different. It's not just random conversations. But if you guys listen to us, you know that we do sometimes go off on random spin-off conversations and tangents and things like that. So, but outside of all of that, so we recorded and we posted an episode we recorded on Tuesday, posted on Thursday. And since then, there's been so much information that's come out in the Star Wars universe just about different things. And so we're going to go through some of that, as you know, some news, some galactic times. Everybody's going to want to hear about the Mandalorian. We're going to save that for the end of the show. And then there's some other cool things that are coming out. But, you know, one thing that I'd like to start with and talk about, which I think is pretty cool, is Todd Fisher, who's Carrie Fisher's brother, came out and kind of gave us some information about like how Carrie's character is going to be used in the Rise of Skywalker. We know that JJ did not CGI her. It was all, what did they say? It was all pre-shot images,
There are some CGI
videos.
elements in there because you have to integrate it with, you know, the
Well,
new
yeah.
thing and whatnot. So there, it is CGI. It's just it's not a completely CGI'd figure of her. You know what I mean?
It wasn't.
It's based off of her really being there. They're just tweaking things, aging a little bit, changing the lighting. It's not like they did in Rogue One.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not full on Rogue One CGI Carrie Fisher. It's legit. These are images and videos that JJ has taken or they have that they're using that may not have been seen before, and some may have been seen before. So some of the things that Todd mentioned in this article was, and I'm just going to do some real quick quotes and we can talk about it a little bit more, but she was going to be the big payoff in the final film. She was going to be the last Jedi, so to speak. That's cool, right? People used to say to me, why is it that Carrie never gets a lightsaber and chops up some bad guys? Obi-Wan was in his prime when he was Carrie's age. So you and I have had somewhat of these conversations before, Dave, about, you know, we get Princess Leia is a Force user, but you never see her wield a lightsaber.
You know, it's kind of been left ambiguous since Return of the Jedi that we knew she had Force capacity. She, you know, was of the same bloodline of Luke, Vader, Anakin, but we never really saw her got to use it. And in the book Bloodline, she comes out straight out like, "Hey, like I want to learn from Luke. I want to learn these mystical powers of the Force and learn to help." But her path went a different way. She was more adept at politics,
Mm-hmm.
you know, leading and trying to pick up the pieces of the shattered empire of, you know, the ruins of the republic. So she did what politicians should do. They should be selfless. They should be there to try and, you know, make a better civilization, galaxy, whatever for their people. And that's kind of what she did. She put everything on hold training wise for the Galactic Republic. So that's why she never got that opportunity. I know in Legends, she does wield a lightsaber. She does go on adventures. She is considered a Jedi Knight. But even then, in the Legends continuity, she wasn't as proficient as some of the other Jedi because again, she didn't hone her craft. She didn't live and breathe the Jedi way every single freaking day, like Luke did.
Yeah.
But definitely, she still has that capacity to be a badass Jedi, though.
She was more of the blaster wielder. She always shot the blaster. She always had a gun. I don't know if she was proficient at that. What would you say?
Well, we only see that because that's all she knew. She didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
But when we see her in A New Hope, she's never freaking seen a lightsaber. I'm sure she had no training whatsoever, so she's just doing what she's doing to defend herself. In later years, hell, in Last Jedi, you don't see her pick up a gun. You don't see her pick up anything in Force Awakens. That's not her
Oh
role.
no, that's true.
That's not her role. You know what I mean? Her role is to guide and lead. That's her thing. That's her thing. I'm not gonna go any further than that. That's her thing.
It's her thing. It's what she does.
It's her thing.
She's the political image. And that's what she's been, and that's what her role has been. And would you say, and to some degree, the political image, and also, but the Spitfire political image of she's not going to let anybody talk down to her. She's not going to let anybody disrespect her. and she's going to stand up for what she believes in. And it's awesome. It's just awesome, her character and what she did. So some other quotes that Todd came up with were, the truth is that J.J. Abrams was great friends with Carrie. He had an extraordinary sense of love for her. They had 8 minutes of footage. They grabbed every frame and analyzed it, and then reverse engineered it and got it into the story the right way. It's kind of magical. This is, in its own way, a payoff. It's Carrie talking to us all from beyond. The beautiful thing about the concept of the Force is that there is no real death. You just exist in another dimension. So Carrie is looking down or sideways or wherever, and is still a part of us. To be able to see that, it's magical stuff only in the movies. Dave, do you think that her role in The Rise of Skywalker is... I don't know how to explain it. Like, are you going to get misty-eyed? Is there anything in her role or what she could do that would get you misty-eyed?
John, there's no telling what this movie's going to bring emotionally to anybody, because, hell, we saw the trailer and, C-3PO telling all his friends goodbye. I don't know who didn't get misty-eyed for that, and no one saw that coming. That wasn't on anyone's radar. We know just the fact that Carrie Fisher is in this movie is going to pull at some heartstrings. It's going to tug at some people's emotions, 100%. How it's going to get done, I don't know. But even in that last trailer where you just hear her say, always, that got me. So honestly, I don't know what my emotional reaction is going to be when watching this film, when seeing her in whatever pivotal scene she's in, because whatever she's going to do, it's going to be pivotal. She's never been in one of these movies and played a minuscule role, if you will. No matter how little or much screen time she's had, she's always been a pivotal character in the franchise. And I think in Rise of Skywalker, she's going to continue that legacy, regardless of how much screen time she has.
Yeah, I think for me, I agree with what you said, and I agree with your comments. But I think for me, it's even going to be she finished. I think they said that she finished all of her shots before she passed in The Last Jedi. And this movie truly, as you know, that she wasn't there for any part of it in her physical being. And so for me, any part of this movie where you see her, you see the character and kind of her role, I think that's going to be, I know for me, like, it's going to be a big deal. Because I'm like, man, like, did you, like, if it's done the right way, you're going to pay, like, you're going to give honor to Carrie Fisher for what her role was in her previous scenes and made it work into this film to close off this 9-film saga for Skywalker, like for the Skywalkers. And I just think for me, that's huge. So I'm excited either way. This was something that I figured the family was going to come out eventually and bring up some comments, but I know they said that they didn't want her to be CGI'd. So outside of the small parts of CGI that you mentioned before, where they had to kind of age her and do all that other stuff, I'm kind of excited that they did it this way. So,
church.
Oh God, him and his church statement.
That's all you can say sometimes, man. It's just church.
All right. So we've gotten a lot more conversation about this Obi-Wan Kenobi series, dude.
Well, hold on. Before you even get into that, this episode airs on Monday. Disney Plus airs on Tuesday, John.
I know, it's on the list, but I wasn't going to talk about it right now.
It's got to be higher on the list, my man. This is like, I'm all excited over here. You got me like, you're pleasure delaying me, man. You're gonna push this back.
You got to listen to the whole episode to hear us talk about it.
Man, all right, fine. Let's talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's put Mandalorian and Disney on the back burner. Little tear there, You're Tom Cruise in me right now. You're Vanilla Sky in me. Damn, yeah. I love that movie. All right,
you know who taught me how to do those things?
Damn it, Diaz.
Yeah, okay. Let's blame him. But anyway. All right, so Obi-Wan Kenobi.
All right, Obi-Wan.
Ewan McGregor has said that he's known about this for 4+ years, maybe less than that. They got a writer. Deborah Chow is directing all 6 episodes, I think it is. But the writer for this series is Hossein Amini. And he was interviewed by Discussing Film. Discussing, not disgusting. I wanted to make sure it was clear there. Discussing film.
Discussing.
Talking on his role, and kind of what his vision was, and kind of basically what he said was, and there's a lot more detail to this article, and it's on our social media, so please go check it out, is it's set between episodes 3 and 4, which are several years between that time gap, that they're going to have to find a way to fill it, find a way to write something that gives us good content, that keeps us intrigued. And the other, on top of that, there's so much conflict in the Star Wars universe, with the Empire going away, still being there, with the Republic ending, and just there's so much transition period during 3 and 4. I could understand, like, when he's like, it's going to be difficult to write a story to make it good. But I think it's also a good thing that there's so much space between those two movies, that you have that ability to talk and say you have the ability to tell any story that you basically want that falls in between those two spectrums. What do you think? Or am I completely just like rambling? Because I think that it to me that's difficult, because I've talked about this, we've said this. Obi-Wan Kenobi was in the desert watching over Luke, like, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and we talked at length on, I think it was like 2 episodes back, about the potential of the show and what we wanted to see, what we could possibly see. For all we know, we could be completely wrong. They could take this show into a completely other direction. I mentioned I kind of want to see a saddened, war-torn Obi-Wan who's trying to fight the darkness and trying to push back his regret, everything he couldn't have done or should have done. Maybe in contact with Yoda every now and then, Qui-Gon, like Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith alludes to, that Yoda's going to give him this, which if Liam Neeson comes back, even as a voiceover, that'd be fantastic. I'd love that. But it's just, there's a lot of potential that they can go ahead and pull from Legends, from the John Jackson Miller novel Kenobi, which was fantastic. Again, very similar to Mandalorian and Solo, where it's that spaghetti western kind of feel. But what?
Spaghetti western?
You've never heard that term?
I probably have, but I don't know why. It just sounds super funny right now when you said spaghetti western.
Spaghetti western, man. Dang. I don't know. Like, I wasn't one of the fans clamoring for an Obi-Wan series. You know that.
I wasn't either.
I'm sure I'm gonna like it. I wasn't asking for a Cassian Andor series. If all we got from Cassian was Rogue One, I'd been okay.
But you were super stoked about that series when they announced it, though.
Because again, the potential, it could be a very James Bondish kind of show. You know what I mean?
I think it's also Diego Luna.
I love Diego
that
Luna.
Does that awesome. That does that for you.
That guy.
Yabba.
Awesome. Yabba. I want to touch Yabba. Like, oh, that guy's adorable. Like, I just want to give him a kiss. Just give him a kiss on the cheek. Like, don't make it weird, Diego. If I ever meet you, I'm gonna give you a kiss on the cheek. We're gonna make it happen. We'll talk about Yabba over some drinks at the canteen or something. But no, like I think the potential's there, like you said, but I don't think it's as wide as you made it sound to be, because I don't think he's gonna be planet hopping. I don't think he's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Mandalore. I'm gonna go visit Satine's grave. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna go to Mustafar. Let's see if Vader's ashes are there. No, I don't think he's gonna do any of that. I don't think he's gonna go hang out with Yoda on Dagobah and be like, hey, you wanna talk about the snakes that are living outside your house? No, it's gonna be a very self-contained story that isn't probably gonna have huge ramifications in the galaxy. Like, I don't. Everybody thinks that him and Vader are gonna have another showdown. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think that's a stretch. I think that's something that we would like to see, but I don't think we're gonna see it. Because I think if Vader knew that Obi was alive, he'd be hunting like crazy. I think he'd be on the friggin' search for him, sending like more so when he was looking for Han, Luke, and Leia. after they destroy the first Death Star. Like, I think he would have all the Inquisitors out there. He'd be searching system by system. He would have more than just Kendra Club and whatever that other group of space thugs were looking for him. You know what I mean? I think he would be relentless. And we didn't see that because in my mind, in my headcanon, that's probably wrong. Vader didn't know about Obi. But we'll see. I'm excited to see where they go with it. They said it's only going to be 6 episodes, which that tells me they know what they want. They know how to get it. This was supposed to be originally a movie, and they tweaked it, elongated it, gave you more depth with the character, and they're going to flush out a really good story.
Yeah, and I was just fixing to bring that up after you finished your commentary. Was that sorry, I got thrown off because I was like getting confused on what I was going to say. So they had originally thought about being a movie, and the writer, what he said is that's a lot to explore for a 2-hour movie, whereas in 6 episodes we can give you a little bit more. We can get a little bit more in depth with the details and everything else. And as mentioned earlier, there's a lot of conflict. It's very complex because of the conflict in the galaxy, politically as well as personally for him. And so I think that that's why they decided to opt for a series or 6 episodes instead of the full 2-hour movie. And so I think that we didn't talk or we didn't hear yet about the fact that could these episodes be like an hour and a half long? I think you and I speculated on it, or is it going to just be an hour-long episode? And you're going to get 6 hours out of it instead of the 2-hour movie. I think you were the one that brought up it could be very Game of Thrones-ish, and where they like do the last season where they do like hour and a half episodes instead of than just the hour ones.
Yeah, you never know. But it is supposed to start shooting very soon, right?
July of 2020.
July of 2020, right around the corner, getting Obi some time to fill in his beard and get a little bit more scraggly. I wonder how much are they gonna incorporate CGI in this show to make him look older, or is it just gonna be practical effects and hair and makeup?
Yeah. So, well, and I think it also depends on. Well, it says it's 11 years before A New Hope. Yeah, so he has aged a bit. I was trying to think through, like, do you really need to age him that much? But yeah, you would need to. I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I still feel, even with all the information that's come out about this series, I still feel it's a series we don't need. Just my 2 cents, just my opinion.
Well, you could
But
say
if
the
you
same
ask,
thing for Cassian Andor.
I do. I don't think it's a series we need. I know you're excited about it, and I'm excited because you're excited, Dave. But in reality, I don't think you need the.
Yaba.
At the end of the day, I don't need a Cassian Andor series, and I don't need an Obi-Wan series. Sorry, Zach from Sith Talk, just not there.
Well, no, I agree. I don't need it either. But we didn't need Solo, and that was a very enjoyable film. Hell, that was
But
ranked as your number one favorite freaking Star Wars movie, and that was
yeah,
something you said you didn't need, and it toppled everything else that came before it. It wasn't received as well, but didn't make as much money. But that was your number one. I don't know if it still is or not. We're not going to get into that today, but that was your number one.
well, yeah, and so I started thinking about, because you're like, you need to rewatch these sooner than later, and blah blah blah. So I threw on The Last Jedi the other day, and I was like, okay. And it was yesterday when I was doing podcast stuff, and but yeah, I was like, okay, let me rewatch some of these and see what I find. But I agree. Yeah, I didn't think we needed Solo, but I really enjoyed it. But I also think it wasn't well received because of The Last Jedi. So
But regardless, so like you gotta take that out of the fandom. Like don't look at everything because of this or because of your attitude or because of the anger and the hate. Like you have to slow it down and just look at each individual piece and say, okay, do you like it or not? You have to think of it as a time capsule kind of thing. Like when you show this to your little kids, your little Jedi that you got running around, they're not gonna know. Oh, the backlash of the Last Jedi really halted this movie. That's why I don't like it, Dad. No, they're gonna be like, I don't like it because Lando's weird, or that's not Harrison Ford. You know what I mean? They're gonna not like it for those reasons.
I understand that, and that's a great point. But other people don't think like that, Dave.
Well, That's disappointing.
I'm not saying that I think that way. I think that Solo did. I really enjoyed Solo. I think we saw it 3 times.
Yeah, yeah.
And even to this day, there's still The Last Jedi. I don't think has risen any points on my list at all. So I know we're going to get into it later on in another episode, but I'm just saying. So,
Ranking movies is a complicated thing.
oh,
Sorry,
Werner Herzog.
I had to hit you a little Warner Herzog right there.
All right.
All right, what's the next topic? What are you doing? Because you're still pleasure delaying me. I'm still waiting.
Am I? Or
I
is that
think
the
you
next
are.
topic?
I think you are. I think you're going to transition to how Bob Iger said that there's going to be a hiatus between Star Wars films. I know that's on your notes. I just don't think you remembered it. Boom!
No, it's
Look
on
at
my
that
notes.
face.
It's on my notes. It's on my notes.
I said I know it's on your notes. Well, let's just roll about that. Let's just roll about that. We're already here.
Bob Iger said there was going to be a hiatus after episode 9. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. Dumb announcement. Don't know why he made it.
No. He could very well be making that announcement because now their plan of 2020 or 2022 is no longer sticking.
Here's my thing.
That could be that announcement.
That could be that announcement, but you're saying hiatus, and it's feature films, guys. This is how it's a features. That takes it as a movie, in my opinion.
The silver screen.
There you go. I see it as like a movie. I don't think of it. We are getting The Mandalorian. We're getting the Obi-Wan series. We're getting the Cassian Andor series. We're getting Clone Wars saved. Like, we're getting all of those things. So these are feature films. That's how I see it.
Well, that's what he clearly said. He said we're getting a hiatus from feature films.
No, I think he just said feature.
Feature films. That's what he meant. That's what he meant. They're not canceling The Mandalorian 2 days before the damn thing airs. They're not canceling Obi-Wan, all that. He's talking feature films.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying that some people would see it as... There's some people who saw it as like it's a hiatus in general, like it's done. And so I just want to clarify for people.
Doesn't make sense. Read the deets.
So anyway, at the end of the day, so 2022, yes, you got to start planning. You got to start getting it there very quickly because that's technically 3 years away, but it takes a while to build a script, get the actors, get everything taken care of. And so I get that. They talk about, we mentioned earlier, Obi-Wan knew 4 years ago that this was going to happen, and then it was just all timing. I don't think it's going to affect the schedule to that. Like, I don't think we're going to say, oh no, it's now going to be 2025. Like, I don't think that's what he's saying when he says a hiatus. And there was some people that commented on our Facebook page that said, we're talking about a hiatus, but how long did we wait from Return of the Jedi to the prequel series? How long did we wait from the prequel series to the new trilogy? Like, it was years. There was years. But there was a lot of people, you've made this comment before. There was a comment that people said, we didn't think we were going to ever get anything again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
At least this way, we know that something's coming. It's just going to take a little bit longer than they had originally anticipated.
Yeah, but you got to also think, right now, we live in the world where we just walked into a buffet room of Star Wars. We walked into a buffet where we can be like, oh yeah, you know what? Let me get some Cassian Andor. Let me get a little Obi-Wan on my plate. Oh, you know what? We got a Kylo Ren last Jedi over here. Let's do this. And now all of a sudden you're at the head of that buffet line, and someone says, hold on. All you've got right now is the mac and cheese Mandalorian over there. You've got the Cassian Andor casserole coming out a little bit. And you've got the Obi-Wan omelets a year from now. Gotta hold on. It's putting a stop on the floodgates that we've been getting. And I now need to make an Obi-Wan omelet and a Cassian Andor casserole because just the way they rolled off the tongue there. But it's putting a stopper in all these things, all these projects. If we're really going to get a film in 2022, we need to hear about something at Celebration. We need to hear about what's in the making, who's directing it, and just a little tidbit where it's going.
So you say we need to hear about it. In reality, do we need to?
They've got to somehow create buzz and let people know that this is the future of Star Wars.
They got to create the buzz, but that's what. So we could debate this all day long. I get the creating buzz, and we got to hear it, but there's a lot of times that we say there's times that, like, we needed a Star Wars Rise of Skywalker trailer months before we got it, before the Friday Night Football. We needed it, but they were like, "You're not going to get it. This is what you're going to get." We needed a lot of other things, and they're like, "You're going to get it when we give it to you." So I think that, like, did you have to wait for Celebration to release a Rise of Skywalker trailer? It's fitting.
It's the biggest forum you have.
That's what I'm saying. It's fitting, but in reality, they didn't have to. It would have pissed a lot of people off. But hey, everybody's already pissed off at Disney and Lucasfilm, or Kathleen Kennedy, as they say.
So if they don't do a movie panel of the next era of Star Wars, all you're going to have at Celebration, and don't get me wrong, I'm still going to love it, is a panel on TV series and the 10-year anniversary for Attack of the Clones. I don't think they're going to do that. Either they're going to bring out more TV series to fill that gap and say, you know what, Rise of the new era of Star Wars is taking another couple years, guys. We didn't anticipate this, but we're going to have a Dave Bautista Darth Bane series coming out. We're going to have, what? You would love it.
This guy.
You would love it. We're going to have this show come out about Luke's Jedi that we no longer see after Return of the Jedi thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to fill those gaps with other properties on the streaming service if we're not getting anything in live action on the silver screen. I'm just saying that the wheels have to be spinning. They have to be figuring something out.
I know, but then they've already made announcements now. They've made announcements about Rian Johnson's trailer. They've made announcements about Benioff and Weiss's trailer. Playing devil's advocate, they've made a lot of, like, creating buzz, and it's gone absolutely nowhere. Maybe they're learning from this and saying, hey, guys, unless we're absolutely 100% sure and we got scripts and we got things that are going, maybe we don't say anything.
I think they did have all that for all those projects. That's the same reason why Colin Trevorrow was attached for Episode 9. Same reason Lord and Miller were doing Solo. Like, the pen was to paper. Like, it was already rolling.
I don't think the Benioff and Weiss guys had started anything. They had knew what their focus was, but I don't think they had started writing anything.
If they didn't start writing, they at least knew a direction, what they wanted to do, what time frame. They already have a little section of the Star Wars pie carved out. They might not have baked it yet, but they knew where they were going with it.
They did. And we found that out after they left. Rian Johnson, he says he's developing a trilogy, but I guarantee you nothing's been written down about that.
Well, he's been busy doing Knives Out. You know what I mean? He might have an idea.
That's Knives Out.
It was Karate Chop Out. But they need to figure out something. And I know they are. We don't know anything that goes on behind those doors at Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger. I guarantee they got stuff cooking. They've had stuff cooking. We just don't know about it. But I hope to see something announced at Celebration that is that security blanket that says, here you go, John. Here you go, Dave. We got something coming. Don't worry. Here's a little snippet. Here's a little dog treat for you, kind of thing.
Or are they bait and switch you?
No, they're going to give me the rope-a-dope.
Anyway, so we'll see what happens, but that's what Bob Iger said, is they're taking hiatus. But again, this has happened before in the Star Wars universe, and we didn't think we were going to get anything else afterwards. So we'll see what happens. But it's still a lot to come in Disney Plus and TV series. So, all right. We're inviting Mike Mann back with Star Wars channel, Star Wars Daily Weekend Edition, with the Galactic Times. Mike, take it away.
Greetings to all in the Outer Rim territories. It's time again for your Star Wars Daily Weekend Edition, brought to you this week by Crew Isles, Blurg Ranch, Karga's Bounty Bonanza, and ChannelStarWars.com. Star Wars news for Star Wars fans by Star Wars fans. Bringing you the latest news faster than the Razor Crest, I'm your host, Mike Mann. This week we're talking about none other than The Mandalorian, which is debuting on November 12th on Disney+. For those of you out there that have not been drooling and obsessing about the very first live-action Star Wars series,
What, do you live under a rock?
here's the brass tacks. The Mandalorian takes place in 9 ABY. That's 9 years after the original Star Wars, and 5 years after the events in The Return of the Jedi. Set in the Outer Rim territories, where the New Republic has little to no influence, a populace needs to adapt and survive in the lawlessness. Creator and producer Jon Favreau described his new project as, quote, "It's like after the Roman Empire falls, or when you don't have a centralized shogun in Japan, and of course, the Old West, when there wasn't any government in the areas that had not been yet settled." Enter the Mandalorian, played by Pedro Pascal, who is a lone gunfighter turned bounty hunter. Much like the famed Jango or Boba Fett, Pascal dons the Mandalorian armor to make his way in the lawlessness of society. The second trailer for the series leads us to believe that he's on a personal journey and or vendetta from the implications imposed by the former empire, whose various remnants are trying to hold on to a form of power in the Outer Rim. Headed up by Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon, we know he is leading a squad of death troopers and regular stormtroopers. Werner Herzog, whose character's name is yet to be announced, is also flanked by troopers as well. Other supporting characters are Nick Nolte voicing an Ugnaught named Cruile, Carl Weathers as Grief Karga, as the head of the Bounty Hunters Guild, Gina Carano as Cara Dune, IG-11, and a host of other big names. This will definitely be a groundbreaking series you won't want to miss.
All right, I'll give it a try.
No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
That's all the time we have this week. Be sure to check us out on all your social media platforms and check out The Mandalorian debut on Tuesday, November 12th on Disney+. For Channel Star Wars, I'm Mike Mann reminding you,
Mandalorian, look outside. They are waiting for you. Yeah? Good.
and now back to David and John on Balance of the Force, a Star Wars podcast.
Thank you, Mike, for that Galactic Times this week. And now we get to talk about Dave's thing. I'm not going to pleasure delay him anymore. We're going to talk about The Mandalorian.
No, I'm going to pleasure delay myself. So GameStop recently announced some exclusive figures for pre-order. I'm pretty jazzed about this. One of them is it's not a B1 battle droid, but it's an armored battle droid, something like that, right? Send you the link.
It's from Battlefront 2 Black Series battle droid.
I thought it said like armored or something. Like it's not a basic battle droid. But
Heavy battle droid.
There you go. I knew it was something. I was missing something. So
the colors are pretty cool.
Will you buy it, John?
No, So first of all, you went on this Black Series thing where you started buying stuff, and now I'm concerned.
I'm concerned too. I'm looking. I've got quite a few. I actually pulled a list last night of all the Black Series figures that they've created thus far, and I'm circling the ones I want. I will probably send you a list what I want for Christmas. So just FYI.
I bought you Funko Pops already.
No, I refuse that. Unless you're going to buy me. Unless you're going to buy me the entirety of the Knights of Ren, I don't want them.
You can't refuse a Christmas gift.
Yeah, you can.
That's rude.
So I'm the dark side.
It's rude. You can't refuse a Christmas gift.
I'll re-gift it. Fine, whatevs. But no, so you got the heavy battle droid coming out. Looks pretty sick. I don't think I'm going to pick that one up. The other one that is highly interesting is a Jedi Knight Revan. Looks fantastic. It's a GameStop exclusive. Comes out a week or two before my birthday. It looks pretty awesome. I'm looking at my dark side Revan right now. My Darth Revan. I love it. I think I need the Jedi Revan right next to it. So it's on my list. I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, these are both GameStop exclusive figures that you can pre-order now. I think they're at the 24. I think they're like 24.99 if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And so there you go. Somebody made a comment on our social media that said, "Man, why is GameStop getting all these exclusives? Somebody really does not want them to go out of business." And I was like, "Oh wow, so that's kind of crappy." But money talks. Maybe it was a contract that was signed before all this happened, but we'll see what happens when all this comes out. But do you anticipate any more figures being released? Like, this is 2 figures that we've heard of in the last week. Do you think any more will be released from GameStop?
I'm sure. Sorry, the Husky Army's fighting in the other room over there. I'm sure we're gonna end up having more sooner or later. These weren't even on the docket. They weren't on anyone's like wish list or thoughts that they were coming out anytime soon. Who knows? We'll see. One thing that I did comment on one of somebody's post on our page is, oh man, like I want to see the father, the sister, and the brother in Black Series form. I think that would be awesome because it was such a big part of the way Rebels ended. It was an integral part of the Clone Wars. I think we need those figures. I think it'd be awesome.
Dave's going to need shelves in his podcast room to be able to put all these figures up. And it's Funko Pops that he's getting for Christmas.
No. I need a lot more shelves then. But no, Darth Revan coming to GameStop. Same thing with the heavy battle droid. I'm picking a Revon. It's going to be awesome, man.
Okay. Are you still pleasure dealing yourself?
You know, we have a little bit of a cold front here in Texas. Yeah, let's just go for it. Hit it. What do you got?
So are we talking about The Mandalorian?
We're talking about The Mandalorian. What do you got?
All right, so Mandalorian, this TV show is coming out.
It's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. That's what it is. So the day this episode airs, which is Monday, November 11th, is the day before Disney Plus launches to the United States of America at a low rate, and The Mandalorian also launches on the same day, and then we get episode 2 on Friday the 15th, which is the same day that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order launches.
So what time can I get The Mandalorian? What time can I download Disney Plus? What time am I able to start going on the Star Wars journey?
I haven't seen anything. Did you get information on all that? Because I don't remember seeing any information.
There's been rumors and whispers. I haven't seen anything ironclad.
The only thing that I know has been confirmed is that they announced that UK, Spain, Germany, Italy, and France will get Disney Plus on March 31st of next year. They'll get the full series, the first full season of The Mandalorian release. But that's all I've heard outside of that. But I haven't heard a time. I just know that we verified this. You can't even download the app to your smart TV, Roku device. It was announced that it's going to the Fire TV stick now. Amazon and Disney reached a deal. You can't download any of that until Tuesday. But I don't know what time. So if you're off Tuesday, I'm going to see if you can do it at 12:01.
I am off on Tuesday. I'm going to try it at midnight on Monday and start trying to download. I might turn it into an all-day Star Wars marathon before The Mandalorian drops. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really, really jazzed, and I think that the casual fan out there that likes Star Wars but isn't listening to Star Wars podcasts and eating up every little bit of Star Wars news, I think there's a solid buzz about it, but still a lot of people don't quite know what this is. Don't quite know who the Mandalorian is. Everyone's thinking it's Boba Fett still. But they've got a solid cast around Pedro Pascal as a Mandalorian, and I'm freaking excited, man.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool. Not to mention all of the Disney and Fox movies that are being released day one. There's a full list out there on the internet. You guys can go find it. I think we posted it a month or so ago. It is a long list of items that are coming to hit Disney Plus in the first day. All of the Star Wars movies will be on there except The Last Jedi. I think Solo will still remain on Netflix. And then also it will have all of the animated TV series as well as Lego Star Wars that will be available on Disney Plus on day one. So huge long list if you want to go out there.
So one thing that I did learn is that I believe Werner Herzog's character is paying the Mandalorian in Beskar armor. He's paying him in that material. So that's why you start seeing the Mandalorian's armor changing throughout the show. Why are you giving me that inquisitive look?
I think I remember saying this, and you questioned that was the payment. I said he's being paid in a way to fix his armor or to make his armor better. And it was so expensive. You're like, I don't think that's right or accurate at all.
I don't remember. No, I said I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah, it was very clear in a video that we saw that was like, and you and I both saw it. And I was, so now that you say you've learned this is not learned. This is new news to David. John has spoken this before. Once again, the light side comes out and said it before the dark side. He just is not going to admit, because that's what the dark side does. He's not going to admit that I said that before. So
anyway,
needless to say, on top of The Mandalorian coming out soon, the characters of The Mandalorian have also went to StarWars.com and answered some questions, which is on our Facebook page. And they also released a synopsis for the first 3 episodes that are spoiler-free that I'm going to read to you guys right now.
Okay, go for it.
The Mandalorian Chapter 1, not Episode 1, Chapter 1. A Mandalorian bounty hunter tracks a target for a well-paying client. The Mandalorian Chapter 2. Target in hand. The Mandalorian must now contend with scavengers. The Mandalorian Chapter 3. The battered Mandalorian returns to his client for reward. Very basic synopsis.
There's nothing wrong with that because there's a lot of filler in between that. Fav, Filoni, all the other directors are going to go ahead and drape over us. So it's going to be awesome. We recently had one final, we might get one Monday, I don't know, TV spot for The Mandalorian. That one was a little bit more intense. It still has Nick Nolte as an Ugnaught, which I think, like, everybody questioned that, and, like, myself included, was like, Nick Nolte as an Ugnaught, really? That's the role you're going to give him in Star Wars? But he owns it. He is a beastly little Ugnaught. Like, his voice goes perfect with his appearance in Mandalorian. Perfect in my mind. The scruff, gruffy way he talks and his exterior appearance matches phenomenally. He's saying, I've never seen a Mandalorian before. I've only read about them. Like, that's awesome. That just goes and adds to the level of mystique of the Mandalorians. Of a true Mandalorian, not just somebody wearing the armor like Fett or Jango. You get the speeder bike scene. That looks awesome. Speeder bikes, we're familiar with them from watching Return of the Jedi, as well as Rebels. What do you think, John? You excited about seeing some speeder bikes? Some speeder bike chases?
So anytime you say that, it immediately takes me back to the Return of the Jedi in the forest of Endor, where they're like being chased. So anytime we can see that, I think that's awesome. I think the graphics and the technology that we have nowadays will make it so much cleaner and clearer, even though it was pretty cool when back in 1983. I think that's the correct year.
Correct.
Proud of myself for remembering that, by the way.
Good, Johnny.
But I don't know. So I agree with you on the comment about Nick Nolte. Was it Nick Nolte, right?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to think, like, when you said Nick Nolte was going to be in it, I was like, okay, like, he's going to be like a prominent character. He's going to be up there with everybody else. And then an Ugnaught. Like, I had the same mindset you did. And I'm like, but as we've seen more and more of these TV spots, he is talking more. The character, the Ugnaught, is talking more. So I'm wondering what his role actually will be in the grand scheme of things of The Mandalorian and what he will contribute to the series.
For all we know, he meets him and then he becomes part of the Mandalorian's crew. And you got Nick Nolte working on the engines of, the Razor Crest at the end of the show. Who knows? Um, you also get a scene of looks like Cara Dune training villagers.
Yeah.
So you could tell that they're under siege. She's trying to help them out, and she was a Republic commando, so she's trying to help out those less fortunate, those that can't protect themselves, kind of thing. We'll get more deets on that come Monday, I'm sure. Tuesday, once we all start seeing the show. But what I think I took away the most is we get to see another Mandalorian in the trailer. And this other Mandalorian, you don't see guns, you don't see explosions. You see this Mandalorian wearing a helmet, forging armor. So is this armor that's being forged after he got it from doing one of those bounties? Is this a time jump flashback kind of thing where it shows the origins of the Beskar armor? I don't know. But if we're going to get a glimpse of more Mandalorians, that just makes it that much more awesome. Can you imagine a shitload of Mandalorians on screen in different style armors gonna do work? Like, I know we're probably not gonna get that. We're probably not gonna get that in season 1. But I'm just imagining what this show could turn into 3-4 years from now, where you see a bunch of Mandalorians, some flying on jetpacks, shooting missiles. You got flamethrowers going like crazy. Like, I just think it could be bad. It could be awesome, man.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah, we already know we're getting 2 years of the Mandalorian. Who's to say
3 or 4 years.
Who's to say we're not going to have this all the way until the new Star Wars movies come back in theaters?
It's gonna be Dave over here. 9 years later.
Hey,
The Mandalorian.
I'll take it, man. Pedro Pascal can do it. He's wearing a helmet. No one has to see him age.
As long as it doesn't turn into The Walking Dead, it will be okay.
Ooh. Yeah, that's bad.
Anyway, so we're excited for The Mandalorian. Comes out Tuesday, November 12th. Dave's going to try to download at 12 o'clock on Monday to see what we can get. But we're excited. We're obviously going to be talking about it on Thursday's episode. So stay tuned for more. And Dave keeps rewatching the TV spots.
I do.
He likes it. I'm excited, but I'm not like Dave level of excited. Like he's going to be like a kid in a candy store, like sitting in front of the TV, like.
I am. I'm going to be all decked out with snacks. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to go out, compose myself, and then come right back inside and watch it again. I already know what's going to happen. It's going to be like the Battle of the Bastards episodes, or the Battle of the Bastard episode for Game of Thrones. I watched that back to back. Same thing with the battle at Hardhome.
Yeah. Oh man.
Like those were just beautiful episodes. The shot, the choreography, everything. And I think Mandalorian is going to have that effect. And it's going to get people talking because it's dropping on a weekly basis. So for us, Patreon's up. We welcome you in. Those of you guys that are doing 10 doll hairs, we're going to do a in-depth reaction conversation episode. I'd like to have it up by Thursday. So me and John watch it. We're going to do our normal Thursday episode that'll be up for everybody. But we're not going to do spoilers. We're just going to lightly talk about The Mandalorian and how excited we are and if it lived up to our expectations. But those of you that are joining Patreon, you can check out that Patreon episode of us going in depth, talking about it, going crazy on Patreon. And then we're going to continue to do that for every episode. Johnny, thoughts, questions?
Dave's just pleasure delaying you guys over here.
I'm just saying, you want the meat and potatoes, you want the pork and tauntaun, you got to come over to the Patreon.
Pork and tauntaun. Oh, this dude and his analogies and the things that he says, it cracks me up.
I'm just saying.
Young. Keeps me young.
Cassian Andor casserole, man.
Han Solo omelet. Anyway. Yeah, so we're excited. I can't wait. It's going to probably be the same thing. I'm going to watch it twice and rewatch it. And then we'll go from there. So let me look. Are you done with The Mandalorian? We'll talk about some more.
I think I'm done.
Okay. So one last thing that I'm going to bring up, and then we're going to, because this has been a question Dave has asked before, and then we're going to be done, okay? Luke's students from his Jedi Academy are alive.
Oh, man.
The Rise of Kylo Ren, number 2, 4-issue miniseries. The first issue launches on December 18th, which is the day before the Rise of Skywalker. And then the second issue will launch in January. But apparently this issue will address Luke's students in the Jedi Academy that were like missing, or missing. And it'll give us some information on their background. So stay tuned for more. Because I know Dave's been like, where are these kids at? Where'd they go? They couldn't have all joined the Knights of Ren.
Which they didn't join the Knights of Ren. Because we know the
not.
Knights of Ren is a separate organization that's been around prior to Kylo becoming the master of the Knights of Ren.
We did know that. So stay tuned for more on that. I'm interested to see what happens. Dave's going to read and tell me. So
No, I'm not going to tell. He's going to have to figure it out on his own. He's a grown boy.
All right, guys, we thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget about our TeePublic, Patreon, as well as Amazon, where you can go and find those links on our Facebook page at the top. We are Balance of the Force, a Star Wars podcast, and as always, may the Force be with you.
Thank you for tuning in today. We are The Rule of Two, a Star Wars podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Rule of Two Pod. Check us out on our website at www.theruleoftwopodcast.com or send us an email via contact@theruleoftwopodcast.com. Check us out on Patreon and TeePublic for exclusive deals and merchandise. And we are in no way affiliated with Disney, Lucasfilms, or the Collider podcast Rule of Two. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Once more, the Sith will rule the galaxy.